Well, it's that day that everybody's worried that Jason's gonna come and kill him again, even though they probably shouldn't worry. So here's Friday the 13th, the final chapter. So we pick back up at the barn where Jason took an axe to the face. The cops bag up said axe, but don't worry about gloves, because fingerprinting murder weapons wouldn't be a thing until 80 years ago. But who wants to know who killed the ugly guy anyway?
They don't get smart.
So the ambulance shows up, and the guys are pissed that they got called out to pick up a bunch of dead bodies. But they only take Jason's body, and everyone clears out. They take him to the coroner, who apparently hasn't had a lunch break, and should definitely be investigated for necrophilia.
Real cute girl. Was. Well, she still is.
But lucky for the dead girls, there's a nurse on staff who's willing to take one for the team, after a few initial no's.
I have a headache, Axel.
But she can't say no to sex next to a dead body of a serial killer. At least until Jason tries to join in. So she leaves, but the coroner can't waste a boner, and plans on whacking it to some jazzercisers. But as he prepares himself, Jason saws off his head, and he dies.
What's wrong with him? He's dead.
Then he hunts down the nurse, cuts her tummy open, and she dies.
Never get rejected by the same girl twice.
We then meet Trish, Tommy, and their mom, who moved out in the middle of nowhere after a divorce because her husband couldn't keep his dick in his pants.
Sex all you ever think about?
Mom seems completely unbothered by the fact that the body of a serial killer has gone missing, and the only other house on the lake near them has just been rented out to 6 teenagers, which happen to be his target audience.
So this still isn't on Friday the 13th?
No, this is a continuation of the non-Friday the 13th murder spree that Jason went on a few days ago. And remember, his mom was only killing in the first story because they were reopening the camp, and it was his birthday, which just happened to fall on a Friday that year. To be honest, the titling of this franchise is completely misleading.
Perfectly not confusing.
Anyway, the next day, the 6 new tenants are heading to the lake, where Jimmy's complaining to Ted that he can't meet women. And I guess he forgot this is the same guy who called a hitchhiker ugly yesterday.
Why would he do that?
Didn't your mama teach you manners?
Because he's a guy who only sees women he's attracted to as people. Or should I say, people he could potentially have sex with. But if that hitchhiker would have walked instead of just sat on her ass waiting for a ride, maybe Jason wouldn't have stabbed her in the neck.
This is all the exercise I need.
But the fates are on Jimmy and Ted's side, because 2 hot, identical twins are on the path as well, and the guys invite him to the lake.
But you said that there were 6 of them, so what if they don't like him?
Well, Sammy and Paul are a couple, and Sarah and Doug just started dating, so they're the only single guys around right now.
I guess that leaves you and me.
Well, the girls say it's a long walk to the lake, so Sarah goes back to get the car for the way back.
By herself? She's so dead.
No, she's a virgin, and might as well have a force field around her.
I'm afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational.
And she must have invited Trish when she got back to the house, because she just shows up with Tommy, who walks up on everybody skinny dipping.
Welcome to God's country.
And apparently Doug doesn't see a problem with this, and invites Trish to join him, completely ignoring the small child standing in awe at the buffet of exposed genitals.
Some pack of patooties, huh?
So obviously they don't stay, but their car breaks down on the side of the road, and Trish makes Tommy fix it. He can't because he doesn't have his tools, but a hunter, Rob, comes out of nowhere and gets him back on the road. And while accepting Trish's offer for a ride, Rob says that he's out hunting bears. But when Tommy says that he can't be hunting bears because they're not found in the area, which we already know is not true.
Among other things, this is bear country.
So instead of correcting him, he starts asking if there are any teenagers in the area, especially ones that might be by the lake.
Yeah, deranged killer.
But since kids don't read the newspaper, they just take Rob home with them. Their mom is only slightly concerned when her son is pulling a grown man up to his bedroom, but he only wants to show him his monster mask collection. See, not only is Tommy already an ace mechanic, but he's perfected the art of making, modeling, and painting special effects horror masks.
Come on, no kid knows all that stuff.
You'd be surprised. Kids are sponges of information until their hormones kick in. But once that little bastard discovers masturbation, he'll be a moron just like the rest of us.
There's only so many cold showers I can take.
Later that night, even after the weird serial killer talk, Trish lets Rob the Hunter know that there's no dominant male presence in their house, and that they don't even bother locking their doors.
We're in the country.
She even tells him to come back and shower if he wants.
It couldn't be more obvious if she dragged him into her bedroom.
Yeah, no shit.
Why didn't I think of that?
So the house next door is throwing a party, where we see the real reason why Jimmy's single, followed closely by why Ted is.
Wanna give Teddy Bear a kiss?
And I'm not sure how they managed to go from everybody naked at the lake to fully clothed, awkward slow dancing now that they've started drinking.
I wonder what happened to them.
But after one of the twins, Tina, wins a pour a beer all over herself contest, she wants to dance with Paul as her prize. Sammy isn't happy and goes back to the lake to pout.
In the dark,
alone.
And even though it was a far enough walk earlier that they needed a car to get back, the lake is just outside right now. Must be high tide or some shit. But she goes out in a raft that they didn't have earlier, and Jason jumps out of the water, stabs her from underneath the boat, and she dies.
Why would Jason, a boy who drowned, kill someone in the water? Wouldn't he be afraid of it?
I don't know, maybe it's some sort of immersion therapy.
No, I can't swim!
But Paul can't slow dance with another woman, and goes out to find Sammy. He plans on sneaking up on her in the raft and apologize, but he can't, because she's dead. So he freaks the fuck out, swims to shore, gets harpooned in the dick, and he dies.
He thinks that's funny. He thinks that's a funny thing he's doing.
Well, Rob hears this and grabs his machete instead of his gun, but when he gets far enough away, he sees somebody go into his campground. Once back at the tent, he stands in front of it, dick just ready to be harpooned, but only finds his gun broken and map all crinkled up.
What the fuck happened?
Back at the house, Tina doesn't like being shot down, so she goes to flirt with Jimmy, who was originally dancing with her sister. He wants to dance, but she just wants to go upstairs. I'm guessing because he called her the hot twin earlier.
Wow, we're identical. Identical.
So Ted's now stuck with the ugly identical twin,
Want to give teddy bear a kiss?
but gets shot down by her too.
I'm striking out all over the place.
So he finds some silent movie era porn and plays it to get Terry in the mood. But him laughing at the black and white boobies only makes her want to go home. So she goes upstairs and tries to beaver dam her sister. But Tina wants to see what kind of bedroom moves Jimmy has after seeing him on the dance floor, and tells her to fuck off. So she decides that she would rather ride her bicycle in a storm than watch Flapper Girl titties with Ted. And she gets stabbed in the back, thrown against the house, and she dies.
That'll teach you a valuable lesson.
Now the turn of the century titties didn't do anything for Terry, but they must have done something for Sarah, because she decides the mood is right for her to lose her virginity, and she goes upstairs to get ready. Then when Jimmy and Tina are done banging, he asks if he was any good. Now I should add that if you have to ask, the answer is definitely no.
We're a dead fuck.
But she says yes, and tells him to stay there because she wants to go again. So being the sex-starved teenager that he is, he stupidly goes downstairs to give Ted her panties as a runner-up trophy. Then he goes to the kitchen, gets stabbed in the head, and he dies.
And I'm a dead fuck.
Tina gets back and sees that her sister's bike is still there. Then Jason jumps through the window, throws her on top of a car, and she dies.
They must really be tiny if he's throwing them around that easy.
Well, since twins are made at the same time, to save on energy, they're made with less materials so they don't weigh as much in the womb. And that's why every twin really only weighs about 2/3 of a person.
Really?
No. Jason has crazy Mongo strength, and he's got more people to kill. So when Ted's wanting to see naked dancing girls close up, he moves in front of the screen, and when the reel ends, he turns around, gets stabbed in the back of the head, and he dies.
Hey, how come you turned that off?
We then see that Sarah had an interesting turn. After getting in her matching lingerie, she decided to just have sex for the first time in the shower.
The shield is down. Correct attack.
And to make matters worse, she claims to be in love right after. Probably should have been a thought before you did it, instead of just lucking out after your slutty best friend peer pressured you into it.
You do it with everybody.
But speaking of pressure, Jason comes in the bathroom while Doug's still in the shower, and he punches through the glass, crushes his skull, and he dies.
Whoa, it's okay. I was planning on having my nose flattened by a professional anyway.
Sarah comes back in from drying her hair to find him dead in the shower and runs downstairs where Jason throws an axe through the front door, hits her in the chest, and she dies.
Really?
That was quick.
In the other house, Mom comes back from her second run of the day because the kids want their parents to get back together, and she's got to get a tighter ass if she's going to compete with the women that her husband's out banging.
Would you lighten up on her? She's all right.
Her kids and her dog are gone, but she doesn't notice that the car isn't there. The kids took it and come home to the same situation. No power and no mom.
Just your basic old-fashioned mother problems.
So Trish tells Tommy to stay there in case Mom comes back and to fix the power. Apparently he's an electrician too. She's going to wander through the woods in a storm to look for a random hunter they picked up earlier. She finds his tent and gets inside to get out of the rain, but somebody sneaks up on her and slashes it open with a machete. Lucky for her, it was just Rob, who's like, "Why are you in my tent, hot blonde girl who was obviously trying to have sex with me earlier?"
You figure it out.
He then tells her that Jason killed his sister a few days ago, and he's out hunting him after he heard his body went missing. Because like most people, his mind immediately went to resurrection.
Jason's out there.
So Trish realizes that Tommy's home alone, and they need to go protect him. He's in the basement trying to figure out the power, and even though he bypasses the fuse box, somehow he gets it back on. Later, he hears somebody trying to get in, and sees the window on the door break, but it's just Rob and his sister breaking into her own house. She goes to call the cops, but Jason, like all people who are raised in the woods away from civilization, knows to take out the phone.
Survival 101.
Suspecting he might be going after more horny teens, they leave Tommy alone to go next door. When they get inside, he takes the power out.
So what if it's dark? Nothing to be afraid of, man.
Rob wants to go to the basement, but she hears her dog go upstairs. And something up there made him go, "Fuck this," and he jumps out the window.
Smart dog.
Hey, you speak English?
But Trish goes up there, knowing that she was supposed to guard the basement door, and finds Doug's body, now pinned to the bathroom wall.
I love what you've done with the place. Redecorating, I see.
So she runs to the basement screaming, and Rob's like, "Okay, let's get the fuck out of here." But one of the stairs breaks on their way up, and Rob drops his knife. So he stupidly wants to go get his little butter knife in the dark, knowing that the kitchen is just at the top of the stairs. And that's when Jason jumps out.
Oh, that's just his way of getting attention.
He starts fighting Rob, who's telling Trish to run, but she's just standing there like an idiot, as he is literally staying alive as long as he can so she can get out of there and live. But no, she won't budge.
She is not going.
Eventually she does get upstairs, but when he stops screaming, she goes back down.
Oh, real smart.
Then Jason grabs her through the stairs, but she chops out his arm with the machete until he lets go. Upstairs again, she can't go out the front door because Tina's body's placed on the porch.
Don't play fair, do you?
Then she can't go out the back door because Jimmy's crucified to the doorframe. So she breaks and jumps out of a window because stepping over a body while being chased by a murderer would be rude or some shit.
Leave him alone, he doesn't know any better.
Jason, on the other hand, has no issue just ripping Jimmy's body down to get by. So I'm not really sure what the nails they're adding to a door with no deadbolt's gonna do.
I mean, that's useless.
But that doesn't matter because he just uses Rob's dead body to break open a window.
Why Rob's? He would have had to double back and climb up the already broken stairs with an extra 200 pounds.
Shut up. He's the one they both recognized. The only thing he could have done was thrown Mom's carcass through, since we never really found out what happened to her. She just went outside and was like, "Ah!" And if they would have thrown anyone else, they would have just been like, "Oh no, they killed what's her name?"
Who are you?
But instead of coming through that window, Jason breaks another window and grabs Tommy. So Trish bashes his mask with a hammer, but finally drives the claw into his shoulder.
Oh, it's old shoulder injury.
He then bursts through the front door and chases them into Tommy's bedroom. And once he breaks that open, Trish bashes a TV over his head.
Now why don't you try killing a few more up in your room? I can't.
Seeing that he's only knocked out, they try to get past him, but he comes to and separates them. Trish leads him downstairs and back to the murder house, where she has no issue jumping over Tina's body this time.
Have you no respect for the dead?
She then runs back upstairs where there's no exit and takes a note from her dog and jumps out a window herself.
Are you crazy?
So Jason looks out at her like, that was dumb. But then she stupidly moves while he's looking at her, and he knows the game's back on.
What are you trying to do? Kill me?
So she goes back to her house where her brother yells for her. She's like, "You fucking idiot. I lured him away from the house for 30 whole seconds so you could run."
For God's sakes, he can't drive a car.
But Tommy had an idea. See, when he was waiting on her and Rob to come back from the murder house, he went through Rob's shit and found all the newspaper articles he clipped about the recent murders.
Nothing odd about that.
And one of them just happened to include a drawing of Jason from Alice's dream, which is really weird to put on the front page of a newspaper.
You draw very well.
Oh, he's going to use his monster makeup skills to make Jason think he's just like him.
See, that's just what the story wanted you to think.
You're getting pretty terrific at making those things.
The real foreshadowing was when his mom told him he needed a haircut.
Get a haircut.
So his plan is to give himself the shittiest haircut he can while Jason comes back and his sister is trying not to be murdered to protect him. He then goes downstairs and is like, "Jason, remember me? I'm you from a few years ago."
Nice makeup job.
And while distracted, Trish grabs the machete and somehow on a chopping motion makes his mask fly off sideways. And the sight of his face makes her drop it. So when Jason goes after her again, Tommy picks up the machete, plunges it into his head, and he dies. But he has a post-mortal twitch, and Tommy goes apeshit on him with the machete.
Oh, what monster could have done this?
Later, the doctors say he'll be fine, but something seems a little off.
So we never really find out about the mom?
Well, we never knew her name, so do you even care? No. But I'll tell you who will care, her ex-husband. Because now he's going to have full custody of his kids, which will severely cut into his apparent man-whoring.
Nice talk, real nice talk.
Hey, you guys, look what I found.
You like this stuff?
Well, you know, it'd be nice to have some company.
Hey, where you going?